Zwom. Doot, 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 doot. BMO.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another BMO Creative Fact About Fiction video. This one is about Godzilla. So shout out to Shin Godzilla 87, that inspired me to do this. Of course, Godzilla is a kaiju that debuted in 1954 films directed and co-written by Ishiro Honda. The character has become an international pop culture icon, appearing in various media to include over 35 Japanese films produced by Toho Studios and some American studios, numerous video games, novels, comic books, cartoons, shows, and more. Godzilla is the king of the monsters, which happens to be the name of his first American film, which was adapted off of the 1954 film. Came out in 56, called Godzilla King of the Monsters. I think one of the more recent films in 2019 or 2020 or so was also called Godzilla King of the Monsters. Originally, Godzilla was a prehistoric monster. He kind of looks like a dinosaur, but he's not. And he's able to breathe saltwater and lives under the ocean, and was awakened and empowered by exposure to nuclear radiation through nuclear testing, and being brought to full power and size by the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki and the Lucky Dragon 5 incident. Godzilla was created as a metaphor for nuclear weapons and for the United States. See, these new movies, they make it out like King Kong is the one that the US should relate to, but it's really Godzilla that represents the US originally. The United States being a giant beast that, if you wake from its slumber, then takes terrible vengeance on you. As the film series expanded, however, some storylines took less serious directions, showing Godzilla as an anti-hero. Sometimes even comic relief in a lot of his older movies, doing like the Godzilla Shuffle and stuff like that when Muhammad Ali was popular. But anyways, let's move on. Over the decades, Godzilla has been featured in many other genres, and with characters like the Japanese Self-Defense Forces, which is a pretty awesome team. I love their uniforms in those old movies. And in addition to other gargantuan monsters, including Gigan. I don't know if any of you remember Gigan, but I do. Maybe I'll draw him, I don't know. King Ghidorah, and Mechagodzilla, which, depending on which movie you've seen, was built by people or built by aliens or built by people that were helped by aliens or whatever. So Godzilla has fought next to allies like Jet Jaguar, which was a robot, giant robot, Anguirus, Mothra, and the good guy slash bad guy Rodan, and even has kids like Baby Godzilla, Godzilla Jr., and Manila, as well as Godzuki. Godzilla has also crossed franchises to fight with or against King Kong, Marvel teams like S.H.I.E.L.D., Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and even into DC to take on the Justice League, the Legion of Doom, and the Green Lantern Corps. The name Godzilla came from producer Tomoyuki Tanaka, who named the monster after a buff big dude that was a Toho Studio worker named Shiro Amikura, who later became the chief of the theater club in Toho Studios, who was jokingly dubbed Gojira, which translated from Japanese means gorilla whale, because Amikura was a big dude who loved eating whale meat. This account was acknowledged by Toho Studios director Ishiro Honda, producer Tanaka, special effects director Eiji Tsuburaya, producer Ichiro Sato, and production head Ira Mori. However, because of the new world age of political correctness, Honda's widow, Kimi Honda, dismissed this employee naming thing like a joking name in a 1998 BBC documentary on Godzilla. And she said that those guys in the back rooms, they like to joke about coming up with stories like that's how Godzilla was named, but a lot of thought and effort really went into the name. But I honestly believe, based on all of those guys' accounts, including Amikura, who was proud of the fact that they named it after his nickname, yeah, I think it's true. It actually happened. Regardless of political correctness or whatever, you know, body shaming or whatever, these new fangled things, back in the day, it was cool to have a name like that. So I think it's true. Toho later translated the monster's name from Gojira to Godzilla for overseas distribution. The first recorded foreign usage of the name Godzilla, as far as I could find, was printed in a Hawaii Tribune Herald in November 1955. Godzilla's allegiances and motivations, as well as his IQ level, have changed from film to film, comic to comic, cartoon to cartoon, based on the needs of the story. Although Godzilla does not like humans, or seems not to like humans, he'll fight alongside them against common threats. However, just like Superman in the Superman movies and comics and stuff, he doesn't make any special effort to try to protect human life or property, like just blowing junk up and throwing people into buildings and knocking stuff over. Doesn't seem to care. Godzilla doesn't eat people, not on purpose. He sustains his body and his life through nuclear radiation absorption. Irradiated smaller kaiju, however, and sea fish that are high in mercury have also been shown to be hunted and eaten by Godzilla in the movies. Yeah, that's a really cool image of Godzilla right there. So Godzilla's powers and abilities are amazingly scary and diverse and awesome at the same time. Of course, his gigantic size and strength have got to be number one and number two as far as his powers and abilities. He's also so big that just walking cracks the ground these days. I mean, the dude is huge now, and it bounces cars several feet off the ground just by walking. The armor plating and scoots of his skin and body are all but impenetrable, along with he has regeneration abilities depending on how much nuclear energy he's absorbed. The signature weapon, which is his atomic heat beam, also known as atomic breath, is made of nuclear energy that is generated inside of an electromagnetic pulse-producing organ. And I've seen movies where they talk about this, but most people aren't going to remember this stuff. That's why I made this video. This organ might be in place of his stomach because he absorbs nuclear energy, so he doesn't really have to eat. He just absorbs everything through this organic nuclear generator in his stomach that generates an asymmetric permeable shield, making it impervious to all damage except for short periods when the organ is recycling. He uses that electromagnetic force to concentrate the energy into a laser-like high-velocity projectile that he literally vomits in the form of a blue or red radioactive beam. This also allows Godzilla to absorb unknown amounts of energy and use it as an atomic pulse, like a force field that blasts out from his body and burns everything around him. He can shoot fireballs and lasers from his mouth and his eyes, and causes an EMP magnetic field if he chooses to. He can even make shed blood, like holes in his body that are bleeding. He can focus and make that blood turn into temporary tentacled limbs controlled by this energy and his mind to attack enemies, and also atomic electric bite. He has bursts of crazy speed and even temporary flight and super jumps. See, most people aren't going to remember this stuff, I'm telling you, but you got to watch the movies, folks. I'm telling you, it's in there, and in the comics, it's in there. All right. So the one last thing that I will talk about is Godzilla's distinctive roar, which was created by composer Akira Ifukube, who produced the original sound by rubbing pine tar resin-coated gloves along the strings of a contrabass. Can you imagine how that shivered up and down your spine when he did that? And then he would speed it up and slow it down and reverse it in playback to get that awesome sound that Godzilla has, that practically anybody that hears that sound, that roar, you know it's Godzilla. Of course, now it's done with computers, but back then that's how they did it. It's pretty awesome. So, what do you think of Godzilla, or which variation of Godzilla was your favorite? Leave a comment below. Anyway, that is going to do it for this one. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked the drawing. Please leave a like and subscribe to BMO Creative for more Fact About Fiction videos. Thanks so much. Bye.